Hi everybody. I started about a year ago watching videos on keeping worms and making vermicompost and all that, and I 4 or 5 times just about killed all my worms. I started out with 1,000 worms and did just about everything wrong. But after about a year now, I've managed to turn my 1,000 worms into about 6 different bins with about 4 or 5,000 worms in each one. So I was going to share with you my slightly different take on raising these worms. So in order to do that though, I'm going to have to start at the end. So this is a finished bucket here. It's been going for about 4 months. Um, it's still got some food there on the top. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this bucket and I'm going to gently turn it upside down on my table. And I'm going to do the normal thing that you see where you let the worms burrow down and take the material off until you get down to just the worms. And once we get down to that point, I'll come back and show you each step as I go. But I want to eventually get to the different way that I start the bins that I think you'll all like. So hold on and I'll be back in just a minute. Okay, so I'm back now, and you can see the bin is on the table here. It's just flipped over, and then I spread it out a little. Now you can see that there are quite a few worms that are going to be burrowing back down. So I have a light up here. I'm going to turn that light on so it'll add some light. And once they burrow back down in there, then I'm going to start doing what you see a lot of people do, just slowly take the material off the top. But I'll be back in a couple minutes when those all burrow down. All right, I'm back. It's been about, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes or so. And one thing I wanted to mention was that since these red worms tend to, go up toward the food, one of the reasons that I flipped the bin over is that since most of the red worms are going to be in that top 3 or 4 inches, by flipping it over, then it just automatically puts most of them down on the bottom and a lot fewer where I'm going to be separating. So, but now basically all I do, and you've probably seen this with other people, is I just gently wipe the top off, the top layer. I give it kind of a little quick look and see if there's any stragglers there. And then that bucket that I dumped them out of, for now, I just scoot this back over in. So as I go, as you can see, there's like no worms there. So it's actually a pretty quick process. So let's see here, none there. And then I'm going to do that over the whole top here. And I'll dig down here a little, and if I happen to find one, geez, and I can't see like this one, I have a little bucket right here that I just toss them in so I don't have to wait so long. But I'm going to go ahead and turn off the video now and do this a couple of times, and then you'll see how this shrinks down pretty fast. So I just wanted to show you one thing here. As I'm separating the material and the worms are going down, I hope you can see this here. Basically what I do is I keep pulling the material. Where are they now? Oh yeah, see, until I can start seeing the worms. See them here? So I just gently pull the material, and once I see some of the little worms in there, then I stop. See, you can see right here. And I stop and give them a chance. Was he moving there? And give them a chance. Oh, there he goes. Yeah, burrowed right back down in. So I give them a chance to go down. So that's when you know when to stop and let them go down. So I'll be back in a minute. All right, I'm back now. It's been about 45 minutes, and as you can see, that great big pile is down to a pretty small pile here. Now, if you remember, I took my bin took my bin and flipped it over on top of the table. Now, there was food and things like that on the top of the bin, which when you flip it over is on the bottom. Now, as I get closer to the bottom, you can see that some of this food is starting to appear. So I normally only go just a little bit further. I mean, I should say first, I scoot it up to get it closer and closer to make like a mound so the worms have space to go down in. But I'm going to continue separating this just so you can see what you should end up with if you've done your bin correctly in the beginning. So I'll be back in just a few minutes. Okay, so I'm back. It's been about another, I don't know, maybe 45 minutes or so, and you can see how much smaller the little mound is. And what I did was I just slowly pulled this away. I've got this bucket here about half full, and that's the bunch of some of their castings, but a whole lot of their unused, uneaten food and stuff. So the idea is after I show you this, I'm going to show you how I set up the bin, down here, so that when you're done and you end up with all of this here, this is all castings, fresh castings, probably 20 gallons or so, that you end up with, when you're all done, you end up with this. Maybe, I don't know, 4,000 or 5,000 worms maybe. See there? That's what you end up with. I started out in this bin with maybe 400. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put these in with the food, unused food and stuff, and then I'm going to show you how I set up that bin. I'll be right back. All right, so this is all the material that I separated out that was in the bin. Now it's empty. Here are the worms and the unused food, and right here I have some compost, which this happens to be compost that I made, which I'll have a video on that. But you can buy compost down at any of the big box stores, or make your own, as long as it's neutral, pH like 6.5 to 7. So here's what I do. So instead of the normal where you use shredded newspaper and all that stuff, which I never had any luck with, what I do is I start my bedding with about 2 inches, maybe a little more, but about 2 inches of moist compost. Nice. Now I sift mine with a 1/8 inch screen, quarter-inch screen, so that it's like this, about that consistency, and it will hold a little bit of water, just barely moist. So just about 2 inches only of the compost, and then I'm going to dump my worms in. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I dumped the container of the worms back in, and you can see, this is all those worms in there. I hope you can see this well enough. So what's going to happen now? The worms are going to burrow down. They're going to burrow down into the compost, and once they get settled, then they will come back up to start eating that leftover food that was in there. But I give them about 2 days, and then I'll come and I'll sprinkle some food on the top, and then I will put a little more compost on top. But I've only got here, starting this, maybe its total depth is only about 4 inches. So as we go, we will put food, a little compost on top, food, a little compost on top, and when the bin fills up, gets to about 2/3, then I repeat the process. I dump it out, and you watch what happens. So I hope that gives you maybe a little different way to set up a worm bin, but you already saw the success we have there. So I'm going to have some more videos on how I do my compost and feeding. I'll show you the way that I feed them. So I hope that helped you. We appreciate you watching, and hope you have a great day.